Hello, Year 2, how are you? And welcome to today's RE lesson. Now, today we are going to be carrying on looking at the religion of Judaism and answering the question, how did the Torah begin? Now, our main focus for today's lesson is going to be on the story of Moses. So by the end of today's lesson, you'll be able to tell me who Moses is, why he's an important man for Jewish people, and you'll also be able to retell his story. Now, as well as this, by the end of today's lesson, you'll know what the 10 commandments are, and you'll also be able to put some of these 10 commandments in order of importance. Now, before we move on to looking at the question, how did the Torah begin? Last lesson, we looked at some key vocabulary linked to the religion of Judaism, didn't we? So for your starter activity today, you have some definitions of some of the words that we learned last week. So you've got a Jewish place of worship, the Jewish holy book, a Jewish teacher, and a Jewish hat worn to show respect for God. So have a look at the definitions, have a look at the picture, and see if you can work out what word I am defining. Pause the video now and have a go. Okay, Year 2, so let's go through these together. Well, the first one, a Jewish place of worship. Now, where do Jewish people go to worship? Well, I can see a picture of it there. Can you remember what it's called? Yes, that's right. It's called a synagogue. So a synagogue is a Jewish place of worship. Now, what about the next one? The Jewish holy book. Now, what was the Jewish holy book called? Again, I can see a picture of it there. Ah, yes, it was called the Torah. So the Torah is the Jewish holy book, and we're going to be learning today how the Torah began. Okay, the next one, a Jewish teacher. Now, I can remember the word for a Jewish teacher translates into English as my teacher. Okay, now what was the word? Oh, yes, it was rabbi, wasn't it? So a rabbi is a Jewish teacher. And then finally, we have a Jewish hat worn to show respect for God. Now, what was one of these hats called? Oh, yes, that's right. They were called kippahs. So a kippah is a Jewish hat worn to show respect for God. Fantastic. Well done if you were able to remember all of this vocabulary from our lesson last week. So now let's move on to today's learning. So the first thing I would like you to think about today is all of the rules that we have in the classroom at school and that we have in school in general, okay? So in the corridors, in the playground, in the dinner hall, okay? All of the different places in school and all of the different rules that we have in these places. Now, I've thought of one. The one that I thought of was don't shout out. Now, when we're in the classroom and I ask a question, you always have to put your hand up, don't you? Instead of shouting out, because I will pick somebody to answer the question. Okay, so I've thought of one. Now I'd like you to pause the video and have a think of all of the other rules that you can think of from school. Okay, Year 2. So as you were thinking of some rules, I also thought of some other ones as well. So I came up with always tell the truth. So it's really important in our classroom and everywhere in school that we always tell the truth, that we're always truthful. Now, another one that I thought of from school was respect others when they are talking. Now, this is our golden rule in our classroom, isn't it? And it links to don't shout out, because when somebody's talking, when somebody's answering a question, we always need to make sure that we're looking at them and that we're listening to them instead of shouting out and talking over them. Now, another one I thought of was share with others. So make sure you always share at school, either in the classroom, in the dinner hall, or even in the playground. I also thought of don't run in the corridor. Now, some of us aren't very good at following this rule, are we? But this is one of our rules at school. We shouldn't run in the corridor because we'll hurt ourselves, won't we? And then I also thought of tidy up after ourselves. So when we've been in a lesson, we need to make sure that we put all of our stuff away. We don't leave pencils on the floor or paper on the floor so that Miss Williamson and Miss Fencott have to pick them up when we go into the playground, do we? Okay, so that's another rule I thought of. And then finally, I thought of be kind to others. So it's really important all around school and even outside of school to be kind to other people. Okay, well, did you think of the same rules or did you think of some other ones as well? Fantastic, well done. So I have the question, why is it important to have rules? Could you pause the video and have a think about that question? Okay, so why is it important to have rules? Well, I thought it is important to have rules because then everybody knows how they should behave, don't they? If you have rules, everybody knows how to behave and everybody should behave in the same way, okay? There's no confusion on what should happen. Everybody knows that those are the rules and that is what should happen. And also, people feel safe if there's rules in place, not in the school as such, but outside of school. If there are rules maybe on the streets, you then feel a lot safer, don't you? If you know that everybody should be following those rules. Okay, so now we've thought of some rules in the classroom. I'm going to introduce you to this man here. Now, who do you know who this man is? And why do you think he might be important to Jewish people? Could you pause the video now and have a think for me? Okay, yeah, too. So did you know who this man was? We have looked at him briefly in an RE lesson before, but can you remember? Okay, let's see if you remember. So this man is called Moses. And like Abraham, remember Abraham was the first Jewish man, wasn't he? Moses lived thousands of years ago, and he is an important man for Jews. And why is he an important man for Jews? Well, he's an important man for Jews because he is the first man who wrote down the Torah. So he is the first man who wrote the Torah. Okay, so he's very important to Jewish people, isn't he? He was the first man who wrote down the Torah. Well, shall we find out the story of Moses? Okay, the first man who wrote the Torah. So here we have a video to introduce you to Moses. Now, if this video isn't working on this video here in my lesson, I have also copied the link into the document that you're sent every day to tell you what's happening in each lesson. So if it's not working here, you can always pause this video and have a go at accessing the video yourself. Okay, so let's start this video.
Welcome to Religions of the World. Judaism, the religion of Jewish people. Judaism is one of the oldest religions in the world. It began about 4,000 years ago in the Middle East. One of the most important people in Judaism is called Moses. He was a great leader who helped the Jewish people make their home in their promised land, a country that is now called Israel. The Jewish story of Moses. Many years ago, the Jewish people were living in Egypt. The Egyptians and their king, the Pharaoh, were very mean to the Jewish people because they were worried that they were going to take over their land. The Egyptians put all the Jewish people to work as slaves and decided that they would kill all the Jewish newborn baby boys. The Jewish people were very upset about this and prayed to God for a leader to help them. Moses was born. To make sure Moses wasn't killed by the Egyptians, Moses' mother put him in a basket and set him adrift on the river. There, the Pharaoh's daughter found him. He was rescued by a princess. Without realizing, the princess let Moses' real mum look after him, and Moses grew up as an Egyptian prince in the palace. When he was grown up, he was very angry that his people, the Jewish people, were still being treated so badly by the Egyptians. One day, he lost his temper and killed an Egyptian guard. The Pharaoh was furious about this, and Moses ran away to another land. Moses worked there as a shepherd for many years. One day, he saw a flaming bush in the desert. As he came close, he heard God's voice. "Go back to Egypt. Tell Pharaoh to let my people go." Moses traveled back to Egypt and demanded that the Pharaoh set his people free. The Pharaoh laughed and said, "No way." Because the Pharaoh said no, God sent 10 plagues to Egypt to teach Pharaoh a lesson. Each one was worse than the last. A plague of frogs, locusts, diseases for cattle, but Pharaoh would still not set the Jewish people free. Then God sent the 10th and final plague. God sent the angel of death to Egypt to kill all of the firstborn sons of families in Egypt. The Jewish people were told, "Paint your door with a lamb's blood." Then the angel of death will pass over your houses. Your children will be safe. The next morning, the Pharaoh finally agreed to Moses' demands. The slaves were set free. The Jewish festival of Passover is celebrated in the spring every year to remember this. The Pharaoh demanded that Moses lead his people away, never to return to Egypt. So Moses led his people away from Egypt, hoping to find their promised land, a place where the Jewish people could live in peace. But once Moses and the Jewish people had set off on their journey, the Pharaoh soon changed his mind and decided to go after them with 600 chariots. When Moses and his people reached the Red Sea, which wasn't actually red despite its name, they didn't know what to do. How can we get across? The Egyptians have nearly caught them. God told Moses to lift his shepherd's staff up to the heavens. By a miracle, the waters of the Red Sea parted, and Moses was able to lead his people through the middle of the water. They made it safely to the other side before the sea came crashing down all over the Egyptians who were trying to catch them. 600 chariots were no use at the bottom of the sea. Moses had helped his people escape to freedom, and they continued their journey to their promised land, trusting in God.